What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with another video, the last one of tonight. I promise you, I've been at it all night, giving y'all coverage of the NBA playoffs to the best of my abilities. Thanks for riding with me. Thanks for staying up with me. Thanks for spending your weekend with me as we finally have the last of the conference finals is now set and ready to go. Giannis, who will be the best player in this series, versus Trae Young and a thriving and dangerous Hawks that's really to come at anybody head and live with the result. Um, Honestly, the Bucks are the better team on paper. Let's get that out the way. Having guys like Drew Holiday, having Chris Middleton, having Giannis and Brook Lopez, who was huge against Brooklyn, especially in that game 7, being a big body that can splash, protect the rim, rebound at a high level, and knock down free throws, and do small things like set screens to get guys open. You also got Pat Connaughton and um, guys like Brent Forbes that can be more effective in this series because I think the Hawks will live with the Bucks taking jump shots just like we've seen Brooklyn did. Brooklyn just didn't have enough. The Hawks have enough offensively to score or even outscore the Milwaukee Bucks. But if I had to be honest, the Bucks are the better defensive team. They was during the regular season, and they played pretty good even against Brooklyn. PJ Tucker is going to be huge because you want to be physical with this Hawks team too, because they like to take a lot of jump shots and they don't really like putting the ball on the floor if they don't have to, and getting up in them and making them dribble, making them think, making them take tough shots is the recipe that you want to use to be able to beat them, if that's your strategy like you did against the Nets. And it worked for the most part, and that's something you definitely want to implement against the Hawks if you want to have a shot. I think people would think Drew Holiday can guard Trae Young, but Trae Young is just special. He uses a lot of screens. He uses his quickness. He gets to his spots, and he understands the game at a high level to be young. So I don't think that Drew Holiday gonna lock him up because Trae Young is gonna get the switches. He's gonna get the screens to be able to get his movement and to be able to get that head start, so he can still pick apart the defense and force them to pick the poison that they want to take when defending him. This team is loaded with shooters. You have to stay home with them. You have to force them to take tougher shots than they have to. They was able to make enough of them than I thought they was against the Sixers, but the Sixers and the Bucks are to me the same when it comes to going against the Hawks. The Bucks can score. The Bucks do have guys that can get buckets for them, but they are slow. They don't like to run as much as the Hawks do. The Hawks like to get up and down and get, guys moving the ball, while the Bucks like to ISO you and they like to use Middleton and Drew Holiday and Giannis and have their role players play off them, but it's slower, it's a little bit more predictable, and they do take tough shots. While the Hawks is more free flowing and very smooth, especially when guys are knocking down their perimeter shots. They can be a tough team to defend, especially if Trae Young is in his bag. So to me, I think that this is going to be an interesting series. I think the Bucks will most likely be the favorite to win it just because they have Giannis and a great supporting cast. Mike Budenholzer did switch some things up against the Nets, and they did do a lot of fouling. I do think that that's going to be important on how they defend the Hawks because the Hawks have a bunch of good free throw shooters, especially from the perimeter. And if you foul them or you get in foul trouble, they can kill you from the free throw line. And if they see them shots go in, that may build their confidence up to make the tough ones and make the threes when they're open. You're going to have to communicate. You're going to have to pay attention to who you defend because Clint Capella is a live threat. They put you in a lot of pick and rolls, and they put you in a lot of situations where Trae Young either going to try to collapse the defense to find a shooter, make a floater, lob to Capella, get all the way to the rim, or he's going to pull up for a tough three. He can make them. This is what he does. So none of this is new. This is just what they're going to continue to do throughout the entire game. And if you can't defend it and you can't keep up with them, the Hawks will steamroll you and blow you out. But they also give you chances to get back in the game when those shots aren't falling because they don't get enough layups, they don't get enough easy baskets, and that gives you a chance to come back. That gives you a chance to stay in the game. But not only that, if you get the steals that they try risky passes or they dribble a little bit too much, you can knock away the ball. You will have opportunities to get out in transition. We know that Giannis is a monster in transition. We know that Middleton is a guy that can hit threes. Same with Forbes and Connaughton, and Drew Holiday is a guy that can finish and has good handle and has high IQ to get, the shot, whether it's a floater or a layup or, find somebody else that can knock down the shot. PJ Tucker still is going to have to score if they're going to have him on the court, if they're going to play him as a starter in this series. He still is going to have to be able to knock down those threes. He struggled a little bit with that against Brooklyn in the beginning, but he was able to knock down some as the series continued to go on. 3-point shooting will matter because the Hawks take a lot and they make a lot. So if you can't mix it up enough, or you can't get enough stops, or you can't make enough, and we've seen them struggle against Brooklyn to make a lot of threes that's open even, and if they're not going to make them, the Hawks will be able to get that cushion and they will be able to win those games because it's hard to stop this team, as we have seen, especially when they flatline you offensively. So the Bucks are going to have to find a way to consistently be able to score, or they're going to have to be able to defend without giving up a lot of threes. And that means Trae Young might go off for a little bit more. It means that you might see some sightings from John Collins and other guys. You have to figure out what you want to allow them to get and what you want to allow them to take. But you ain't going to be able to take everything from them because they're a tough team to defend and they got a lot of good weapons around Trae Young. But you do have to concede. And the only reason why I say that is because the Bucks are known to give 3-point shots. They known for living with, we'll take away the paint, which would be John Collins, Capella, and Trae Young floaters, but we'll give up the threes. But this is a team that has a lot of great 3-point shooters, so you might have to adjust as the series go to decide what you're going to let Trae Young do and who you're going to allow to be open, who you're going to help off of, who you're going to allow to take the threes, and who you're going to put perimeter out for perimeter defense out there against this Hawks team, because you can't leave them open that much because they'll kill you. But if you leave them open a little bit, they might make some, they might make a couple. But like I said, if you can execute and get some easy shots and some transition turnovers and rebounds, because the more you take long threes and long mid-range, you get an easier way to get in transition. And if the Bucks can use that to make up some of that 3-point difference, if they can't make theirs, they can stay in games and give themselves an opportunity. They should use Middleton a lot in the fourth quarter because he can make passes, but he also can score and make tough ones. Drew Holiday is going to have to be able to make some perimeter shots because I believe that the Hawks are going to let him or will allow him to do it. He was able to make enough of them against the Bucks, but against the Nets, but he never really shot it great. Honestly, from the perimeter shots, he made some, but he missed majority of them. Even in the series before that, he didn't really shoot the ball well against Miami, and that's going to be a problem against a high-scoring team like the Hawks. But he is going to have to step it up. We know he's a great defender. We know that he can make it tough, but him and PJ Tucker, if they're going to start, they do have to make perimeter shots, and they're going to be able to get the open ones. They will have to make enough of them to beat this Hawks team, and that's going to be important. But the Bucks bench is another thing. Either they're going to have to play their starters a lot, or they're going to have to rely a little bit more on their bench. I think you can do that against the Hawks just because they're not known as great defenders, especially their perimeter players. So you can play some of the other guys a little bit more, and you don't have to play Giannis them as much because of their defense liability. But the Bucks did struggle a lot to score even against the Nets, and that could be a problem too if they can't be able to create enough shots and get enough quality ones that they'll live with if they make or miss. So that's going to be important. But honestly, the Bucks are the better team. They should be able to win this series. And you also got to remember Bogdanovich, we don't know when he's going to come back. I believe Hunter won't be coming back in this series, I believe, either. So that's an advantage to the Bucks. They caught a lot of teams at the right time to help make the finals and literally win a championship in the Eastern Conference. And you just have to take care of your job. The Bucks will also have home court advantage. So they are the 3 seed and the Hawks are the lower seed. So they will have Game 7 at home if it goes there, and they will start both of their games at home to start this series, and that could be huge as the Bucks usually play better at home, and what majority of the games will be in the Bucks' favor. That should actually give them another reason to have an advantage in this series. And Middleton usually don't play good on the road, but when you have 4 games at home, that gives you an advantage too, because then you can get a good Middleton game, hopefully for out of the 7. So I'm going to pick the Bucks. I really want to pick the Hawks, but I feel like the Bucks should be able to get it. But that Hawks team fearless. The Hawks team has been proving people wrong from the start of the season to the playoffs. I did have them beating the Knicks. I had them falling to the Sixers, but they are a little beat up. They can be a little predictable, and they can make a lot of mistakes. And I think the Bucks are smart. They can capitalize off of it. Plus, they have the weapons and the defenders to match up against the Hawks and make it tough. Like I said, free throw shooting is going to be important in this series, and especially how the Bucks decide to defend them. Is they going to be physical? They're going to be up in them, which they should, but they do, allow them to get more fouls if they're smart, like we seen Brooklyn do. But the Bucks should be able to win this one. I'm probably going with Bucks in 6, and they should be able to reach the NBA Finals for the first time since the 1970s and give themselves a chance to win a championship for the first time since the 1970s. That's my prediction. Let me know what you agree or disagree. Let me know who you think is going to win. Will the Hawks pull up another upset? Will the Bucks finally, with Giannis and Middleton, get over that hump? Will Giannis flop this series, or will he, take advantage of this opportunity and capture the Hawks and put them away and try to capture his first championship in Milwaukee? We will see. It should be fun. It should be interesting. The game should be close. And I can't wait to see what happens this week. That's starting up. Quinn Wade, that's one officers I'm gone. Let me know what you think. See y'all tomorrow, hopefully.